Hello, my beautiful friends. It's Erica here with a very, very special guest that I've been hinting about here recently. And I'm so excited to have this dialogue today with Lumi. Welcome, Lumi. I'm so glad you're
Hello.
here. And
Yeah, me too.
so
Thank
I
you.
crossed paths with Lumi virtually probably about 6, 7, 8 months ago, and really she struck a chord with me and really resonated on a soul level with what she teaches. And we're going to talk today about true sidereal astrology. I know many of you have heard my videos. I've been talking about this in my astrology videos for the last many months, but I figured let's just go straight to a powerful source and have a really interesting conversation to really bring this topic to light. And so, welcome, Lumi. I'm so glad that you were able to take the time today on a snow day in Canada.
That's right.
Join
Yes.
us here, me in Florida.
Yeah, this is one of the blessings of the Great White North. At times, it is so snowy that we can't go anywhere, and oh, it's gonna Zoom is making hand gestures for me. Did you know it does that? Like if you do like this, it'll make fireworks on the
Okay, you know what?
screen.
I've only seen that one time. Oh, now it's doing it for me. I don't know. Is that happening? I don't
It's
know. Is that a thing?
It is a new thing. I recently discovered this. So I've been hosting circles using Zoom and like I'm so animated with my hands that it catches these different gestures. So we might get some random animatronics happening on the
Okay,
screen
yeah, I'm not
today.
adding those for the record. This is something that I'm discovering real time as we're recording this. So who knows? I'll be afraid of what emoji might fly out of my mouth or something. I don't
Right?
know what's gonna happen. Oh my word, it's
A whole new
changing real
element.
time.
But what I was saying is that I'm excited to be here. I'm honored to participate in this sort of discussion, and it's so exciting to connect people with the truth of the visible sky, especially with where we're at right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So why don't we just start with, who are you? How did you get into true sidereal, and what was your journey with this? Because I think a lot of people will probably be able to relate.
For sure. Well, I mean, like ultimately, we're all living different versions of the same story, right? So, I would describe myself usually I describe myself as an autistic alien with a special interest in human behavior. So, I am like
Oh, I love that.
neurodivergent. Yeah, studied human behavior, started with psychology, sociology. I worked as a life coach, working in the fitness industry for a long time. And that was before I had realized my neurodivergence. I realized that close to 40, and then that was a big game changer for me. Um, got into spirituality about 7, 8 years ago. And at first, I just kind of consumed whatever I could, right? So I got
Yeah.
really deep into a lot of different, like I could describe myself as a polymath. So I'm not technically an astrologer. I know I've studied astrology, I've studied human design, I've studied gene keys,
Yep.
like the fourth way, quantum mechanics, like a lot, hermetics, a lot of different systems, right? And so my gift is being able to see the patterns between everything and the interconnected. Like it doesn't matter what philosophy you're studying, like they all come back to the root of the oneness, right? The singularity, the interconnected nature of literally everything. And so astrology actually is the newest as far as my areas of study go. And I picked it up because of my interest in human design and gene keys. And then I studied the tarot really deeply as well, like all the different archetypal energies of the tarot and the numerology. And I
Mhm.
was like, you know what, I better learn astrology because all of this, I knew about my sun sign and like I knew a bit about the archetypes as far as just being in the spiritual realm. But when I started to learn it, and compared to like everything else that I had studied, like looking back on it, not at the moment I didn't realize it, but when I look back, like it felt really mechanical. Like it never really clicked intuitively. I was doing readings for people. I was working with clients. I was leading circles, like women's circles in person in the city that I live in, and I would study the astrology and bring transits and things like that into my work. And it was always like I had to study it. Like I had to go to a source, find out what was going on, and then I was able to make my own kind of intuitive explanations or elaborations based on that. But there was always just a little bit of like this is work. Like it's not coming
Mhm.
to me easily.
Mhm.
And then, so that was going on. And then, like, concurrently to that, I was deepening my personal experiences with the oneness, right? Like, working with the I am and like the understanding that we are everything and nothing, right? So, that that understanding of like if I'm everything, like I'm not just an Aries sun, Taurus moon, Cancer rising, right? Or from human design terms, like I'm not just a 5/1 manifesting generator, like I'm all of the types, like and the gene keys in particular really helped me with that. I don't know if you're familiar with that body
I
of
just
work.
recently started looking into gene keys. I'm familiar with human design, but yeah, just literally in the last 2 weeks, ironically.
That's so interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I find Gene Keys a really good representation. Like it's a channeled resource and it pulls from so many different traditions. Like he brings in a lot of different things. And Richard Rudd was a human design teacher. So it's like the framework of human design. Like I describe human design as the skeleton, and then the Gene Keys is like the flesh and the tendons, like everything that kind of fills it out, right?
That's a
So
great analogy.
yeah. So I use the Gene Keys. I've read most of them, or I have it on audiobook, so I'll listen to it. And what I found is like with the Gene Keys in particular, like there's not a single key out of the 64 that I didn't resonate with in some way. And I was finding, we're getting to know certain keys really intimately through client work, or I was, you can bring it into the astrological transits as well, because both of those systems are rooted in astrology. So I was finding like really significant resonance with keys that were nowhere in my hologenetic profile at all. So there was that was going on, the oneness, this like jankiness with astrology, the resonance with all the different keys and the gene keys. And then I started to become aware of like the 13. The 13 started to come into my field, the dark feminine, the repressed feminine, the connection between uh like the lunar cycles and the menstrual cycles and the 13 lunar cycles in a year, but the 12 of the calendar, right? And so it was just kind of like all of this was going on. And then I had a couple of friends who were into the sidereal true sky astrology, and they would make posts like on their story, or I would see it. But at that point I was so like my business was built around tropical astrology and human design and gene keys, right? And so there was a period of time there where my ego resisted it heavily. Like I was like, no, 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 we're not looking at that. Right? Like if that's true,
Like,
then
no,
I'm a
I'm good.
fraud.
I got it figured out right now. I don't need to like break open my whole understanding right now.
100%. Yeah. But then it got to a point. I also have an interest. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like old world theories or like Tartaria,
Oh
false
yeah.
history. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So,
False calendar. Yep.
yeah, so
Mhm.
that is another area of interest for me. So, the
Yeah.
deeper that I got into that line of theory and information in the community on YouTube in particular that's making content as far as that goes, I was like, well, if everything else is a half truth or a straight up lie as far as the origin of humanity and our bodies and the earth and how everything works,
hmm
then why wouldn't astrology be part of that?
hmm
Oh, I just had chills as I said that because it was such a profound
Yeah.
moment, right? Like, and
hmm
once I had that revelation, I was like, okay. So I messaged one of my friends who was on the inn, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm game. Like, give me what you got as far as the 13 sign astrology goes. Like, I want to know. So she gave me some names and resources. And the first video I watched was actually from a teacher that I've studied with since then, Isaac Rodriguez. Brilliant man. And the first video, like this is like a core memory, like burned in my field because I was I was preparing, my accountant was coming over to do my business taxes. So I was like tidying my apartment, but I was watching these videos at the same time. And I was like hooked immediately. And I was like, this is it. This is the truth. And I felt it in my being. And it put me into what I can only describe as like a 6 month manic episode, honestly, where I was just like nothing's real. Like I burned my
Uh-huh.
business to the ground. Like I was like, I can't, I'm a fraud. Like I've been leading people astray. And I went through this whole period where I was like, none of these systems are worth anything. We're like, we don't need human design. We don't need gene keys. We don't need astrology. Your innate knowing is it. Um, for a good 6 months I was there. And then I started to really play with the true sidereal lens. So mastering the Zodiac is the primary resource as far as software and birth charts and things like that. So I looked into that and started to see the resonance in it. Started doing readings for people like clients I was working with, or comparing charts, like so it was like tropical versus sidereal, and kind of like playing with the patterns that go in between the two of them. And then I figured out how to manipulate genetic matrix, which is the software that I use for human design, and the gene keys, because they change with the true sidereal lens as well.
I'll
And what
bet.
I, yeah, it's wild because it's like, I think the best analogy that I can use to describe it, like this shift. So I've worked with three different versions of my human design and gene keys: the tropical, straight sidereal, which is kind of like Vedic, so everything is still 30 degrees, and then the true sidereal lens. And it's honestly like the sensation, or the felt sense of that is like a dial just being turned. And I'm going to age myself here by bringing in like analog TV or like the radio, right? When we had to like turn the knob. So you can hear when you're on like tropical, for example, or Western lens, you can hear the sound coming through, but it's like a little bit staticky, or like the picture on the TV is not quite clear. And with each adjustment, it's like the picture just becomes more clear.
I love that so much. I was given an interesting vision similar to that, but I love that because that makes it really, really clear about it's not, it's not off completely, but it's off just enough to not let us click in. Like I keep getting it shown as a vision of where it's like when you're trying to fit something into something and it's made for it, and it's like you're trying to force it, and then once it clicks, it's like it's made for it, and it's done, and it's just there. And so it's like I feel like we're kind of as a collective pushing and pushing on. It's like we're almost there, we're almost there, we're almost there, and there's just that one little last bit of power and truth that's preventing the full thing from busting wide open, in my opinion. I don't know
Totally.
what you feel about that, but
Yeah, absolutely. That's been my experience in it. And like coming at it from like a really neurodivergent, like logical kind of mindset, like I did my due diligence in comparing charts, because before I started, like I wanted to know what I was talking about before I started talking about it, right? So like I've compared dozens of charts at this point. Um, of all three systems, and what seems to be the trend now, this is not like official research, this is like qualitative information, but based on my experience, what I have found is that the tropical patterning is more representative of the material world. So like it measures, since it is seasonal, right? Like it's affixed to the equinox, and it doesn't shift with the celestial cycles. It is capturing the lower three dimensions of our reality, or like the matrix, right? The
yeah,
material world.
yeah.
And so the patterning that comes through those charts tends to be more reflective of who you are in the material world, or like the habits and the predispositions that you either developed or you were given in order to survive the karmic patterning that you were given for the material world, right? Which is part of, and this is why it resonates with a lot of people, especially people who are maybe not as deep into the work in an experiential kind of way, right? Like more intellectual, using the brain, which is a function of the material world as well.
Mhm.
Uh, but even that, like it only really ever resonates if you're looking at percentages. It's about 75% accurate, right? Whereas the sidereal, I've done dozens of sidereal readings now too, and like every single reading is like knocking it out of the park, like it's so resonant with people. So I would say it's more like 90-95% accurate, right? And the difference gets filled in with confirmation bias and self-fulfilling prophecy. So that the vision or the
Yeah.
analogy that you were given, right? Of like forcing it, or like it's like slightly misshapen. It's not quite going to fit in the hole, but you're jamming it in kind of
I know it
idea.
was interesting. It was like doing construction in my vision. I don't know, but
Yeah.
well, it's so funny you're mentioning this because this was some of my questions. I really wanted people to understand. Like, first of all, you have immense experience in a lot of different modalities and systems, and it's funny. I also just recently discovered I'm neurodivergent for the first time, and this has only been about a year ago. So I'm like,
Yes.
and I also the
Welcome.
patterning is what I right. Hello. It's the patterning and the connections that I can see as well. And I think probably that's what, and also possibly why I was deficient in actually reading charts when I was trying to learn to read charts, is my brain didn't connect in that manner.
Yep.
But yeah, so you already have read my mind on a few of the questions I wanted to ask, which was, so clearly you know what you're talking about. You're not just, hey, I just learned this and it's the only way. Like, you have looked at
Right.
everything. You even had a whole ego death around tropical, like, oh my gosh, my whole business was based on this.
Yeah.
And, and I know for me, with the people that watch my videos, I even have a separate astrology and Zodiac YouTube channel. I have 4 channels that are
Oh
live
wow.
right now. I've really only continued to do my main one, but um, I've always explained it is I don't read charts. I'm not an astrologer. And what I've always done is just channel the energies through tarot and oracle, or just straight channeling. And so when I discovered really how much True Sidereal resonated for me on my whole body just aligned with it. Like, this is that thing that's just been off, and it's there, and I feel it and I know it. I was thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, have I been leading people astray? Have I been one of those pop astrologers you talk about that's all of a sudden like, don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and I'm spreading partial truth, right? But my guides reminded me that no, because yes, I might have mentioned the wrong name of, the new moon in Libra, or the new moon in this, or whatever it was at the time, but I've always channeled the energies, and I've not done it intellectually. And the other thing that would always happen, I wish I could track it, but there I have thousands of videos on my website, on my YouTube channel. Um, I would always state a lot of times it would fly out of my mouth a different sign than
Because
what it was
you
in.
knew it underneath.
I knew it
Yeah.
underneath, and I
Yeah.
would be like, well, I don't know why I just said that, but and it would always resonate with the energy. But I
Yep.
was like, well, there's no accidents in what comes through.
Yeah.
So I definitely can just feel what that is, and I know for me, I've been excited. I want to tell you a story about how, when you said you've done those readings for people. Just last week, I was running one of my mentorship groups, and I was mentioning, that we're in Ophuichus, the sun's about to be in Ophuichus, and what it means, and how, these are my clients that I've known for a while, and they know I've been into this. But I piqued their interest because after the call got done, everybody went on to the website and started looking at their charts, and text messages on the group thread were going back and forth. Oh my God, this has never been more accurate than everything like I've ever done. And so it was really eye-opening for people, which is what I was just like, oh, see, this is why I'm going to have Lumi on to talk about this, because let's just, like you said, 75% or 95%. Because I
Yeah.
think what that translates into is power, right? It's like, because we are intentionally using our consciousness to co-create with the universe, and we understand the universal laws. But if we are not at our full dial of power, it won't be as effective. We'll be able to
Yes.
do things, but like, imagine if this is my goal for this conversation, is all the people that are connected to this conversation across the world, that are on the light worker path, that are doing healing work, that are helping lots of people. Imagine what happens when we all click into 95%,
Exactly.
right? What's gonna
Yes.
I have such chills. I'm like, my whole body's just, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why I was like, I have to talk to Lumi. I have to see if she wants to come on and have a conversation, because it's gonna just be that much more powerful.
Totally. Yeah. And that's a beautiful example of, the truth of the visible sky, but also I feel like really the core message that I am trying to convey in my work, and like the content that I've been creating on this topic, like admittedly I do take a kind of a little bit of an antagonistic edge to it because that's what the algorithm likes, right? And like it kind of snags people.
It
But
does. Yeah.
but my intention is not to be like this is right and that's wrong and like you're an idiot if you're practicing because no, one, like there's no mistakes, right? Like everything is part of the process. It's part of the learning journey. And, the tropical astrology serves a purpose, just as that purpose is to reinforce the matrix, right? And so, like, we can acknowledge that and not judge it as like wrong, at the same time positioning like the truth to those who are open to it, right? And like
Yes.
also realizing not necessarily everybody's going to be open to it. There's going to be some people, even people probably listening to this transmission right now, who are like maybe they're not even listening anymore actually because they're so encoded with the tropical, right? And it'll be their time when it's their time, right? But the point is to like because it has such a stranglehold on the spiritual community, and there's so many people who are not astrologers or intuitives or leading circles, and they're just referencing the system. What is happening is that because of the way reality creation works, which is from the inside out, right? What we believe and what we think really does create our reality. So if you're doing a moon circle and you're like, okay, let's focus on the intention of this archetype, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
way that the
Yeah.
zodiac works is that they're different. Like sign to sign is usually a pretty big difference the way that the patterning works.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is your belief is actually creating like a false reality or like an egregore around
Yep.
the people who are, and it's limiting you, right? It's limiting you to
Absolutely.
the lower dimensions, the material world. It is reinforcing the matrix, and it is preventing you from from harnessing the authentic energy of what is going on and just shifting that dial and increasing your coherence with the natural rhythms and energies of what is really going on with the cosmos.
And with the earth, exactly.
Yeah, that's right, because they're
Mhm.
connected, right? Because it's
Yeah,
it's
we're here. Mm-hmm.
because it's both, right?
Yeah.
It's like the seasonal cycles. It's like kind of like a clock. My teacher Isaac Rodriguez often uses the analogy of like astrology being a clock where the seasonal cycles, so like what a tropical astrology measures, the equinoxes, the solstices, the movement from light to dark,
Mhm.
that is the like the minute hand, right? And the celestial cycle, so the light to dark, the sun, that is moving this way. And then there's also a slower celestial cycle that is going on that is not being captured. So it's like you're using a clock that we just know what minute it is. We don't know what hour it is. And so we're missing that information and things are just slightly discordant.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you were talking about when you were really discovering this, just how you can see pull from all different systems. I mean, one of the things when people say, "So what do you do?" I literally don't know how to answer that. I'm like, "Well, how much time do you have?" Because I don't fit in any one box.
Yeah.
I've done a million different things, and I'm like a amalgamation of all of it, and I'm me, and it's this mix of all this. And when you were saying that you said of the 64 was it gene keys, you're like, I'm a little bit of all of these, but they're not anywhere in my chart. And what's interesting is people that watch my videos and do my mentorship understand, like I've been using archetypes for years, so much so I created a whole system using 70, is it 74? I can't remember how many it is on the deck. Different archetypes, and one of the ways is like it's not an oracle deck, it's an entire inquiry system and how to use the archetypes to look at things. And one of the things that I do is we layer different archetypes in a different way on top of each other to see how a person is presenting today versus it doesn't mean it's who they really are. And
Mm.
so like you said, it's like we're all of these archetypes in some point, whether it's through what we're thinking, how we're acting, maybe it's our conscious, subconscious. So it's interesting because we are just such a blend of things. And I just love that you've done that and come to this where you're using the true sidereal as a talking point. And I agree, because I've said that on when you said you weren't trying to be antagonistic. Obviously, social media has certain things you got to kind of do to get seen. Yet at the same time, when I've been talking about it on my channel, I've said, here's what it is in tropical. They're saying it's the new moon's in Libra, but in True Sidereal, it's this. So whichever one resonates for you and where you're at, take it is. It's not, one's not necessarily better than the other in terms of depending on where you're at in your journey. Because
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, it's like someone might not be ready for that or be open to it yet, but it's all planting seeds
Totally.
to
Yeah. Like
germinate.
human beings don't like being told what to do. Like it doesn't matter who you are or what kind of design you have. Like we all crave autonomy. And the whole point of being in this meat suit is to learn experientially. Like that's what we're doing here. But the inverted society, like the overculture, right? The matrix, whatever word you want to use for it, has conditioned us. Like the reason I call it the inverted society is because it has conditioned us to look outside of ourselves,
Right.
right? To put our authority externally. I talk a lot. I bring psychological terms into my work a lot because of my foundation is in my formal education was in psychology. So the external locus of control is where you're using your brain to intellectualize, learn things based on something outside of you, giving you that information, right? An external authority where your power is lying outside of yourself,
Yeah.
using the brain, which physiologically is one of three organs in your body that it has brain tissues, right? So there's this one, there's your heart, and then there's your gut,
Okay.
right? And more information actually goes up. The brain is like the third, I would say. The heart is first, then the gut, and then your brain, as far as like power goes, if you had to put it in a hierarchy. And a lot of like the inverted society, including New Age spirituality, which is where tropical astrology comes in, right?
Yeah.
It's giving you information in an intellectual way, but still putting your authority outside of yourself. Organized religion, these sorts of it's the same kind of
Hmm.
concept, right? Like you're
Absolutely. Like,
worshiping something outside of yourself,
hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But the truth is that the divinity is within you. Everything is within you. You're the authority of your experience. So my intention with everything that I do, and even it's kind of funny because the comment sections on TikTok in particular, like people get real bent out of shape when you start to like criticize their belief systems, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "You think you know everything, and you're right, and this is wrong." I'm like, no, like there's one thing I know is that I don't actually know shit. Like, oh, my apologies for this cursing, but.
Now, have you met me? No.
No,
I swear to. All good. I always say I'm from Boston. Don't worry about it.
no.
I'm good.
They always say intelligent people actually use expletives like as ornate decoration on your conversation, right?
Well,
But
I also buy into that philosophy. So
yeah,
absolutely. I'm in agreement with that.
okay, amazing. But yeah, that's basically the point of what I'm trying to do is like, not and astrology doesn't resonate with everybody either, right? Like it's not like you need to use it, it doesn't rule your life. But if you're using it to self-actualize or understand yourself or understand yourself rather, right? Like you might as well be looking at what is really going on in the visible sky because you're going to find that congruence or even looking at your charts like the comparison like I find it just such a permission slip when you're using astrology you're looking at your archetype especially if you're like really heavily into it, right? As I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will be. You're looking at your chart and you're trying to fit into what that chart is telling you, right? And there's some things that'll fit and some that won't. So, to use a personal example from my exploration of my charts, like in the tropical astrology, I was an Aries sun. I had a Taurus stellium, so Aries is like cardinal fire. It's like go getter, like aggressive, like warlord kind of energy, right?
Oh, I
The
have.
self. The self. Taurus, on the other hand, is the fixed earth. So it's very slow, it's steady, it's like stubborn to a degree, right? Kind of like calm energy. So like my moon, my Mercury, and my Mars, so like my emotions, my doing energy, and my thinking were all in Taurus in tropical. And then my rising was Cancer, which is the cardinal water, which is the mother of the zodiac, right? And so I definitely resonated with the Aries energy. Like I am fiery, I'm impulsive, I think quickly, I act quickly, like I put my foot in my mouth sometimes, a lot of times, and like so I had a hard time. I was like, how, like, there must be something wrong with me because I am not grounded. I am not slow. Like, I am not that fixed earth. Like, I just did not really feel that in my chart as much. And I really had a hard time with the Cancer rising because even though I am a mother, like, I have a child. You can see her in the background here, right? But like, it had to grow on me, the mothering role, like I just not, and it's maybe the autism, I don't know, right? But like, it just had to grow on me. So I was always like feeling like there was something kind of wrong with me or like that I wasn't doing the work to
Mm,
be what my
that's a good
chart was
point.
showing,
Mhm.
right? And I was like, and looking back on it, I wasn't really like conscious of that, but I can see the pattern of it now in hindsight, looking back. So when I look at my true sidereal, with the uneven zodiac and the inclusion of Ophuichus, the 13th sign, my chart shifts so that I'm a Pisces sun, which in the 10th house, which means I'm here to be a spiritual teacher, right? So duh. But then
Right.
my Mars and my Mercury shifted from Taurus into Aries, right? So I still had that Aries energy. So my thinking and my acting, the way that I act and the way that I think, so I feel like an Aries based on Mars and Mercury
Mhm.
being in Aries. And then I still do have some Taurus. So like my moon is still in Taurus, my Venus is in Taurus, and my North Node and my Chiron. So I still have that Taurus energy, but not in the personal planets, right? So when I look at that, oh, and then the rising sign shifted from Cancer to Gemini, which is mutable air, which is all about knowledge. It's about curiosity. It's about being able to hold two perspectives at once. But it's also fairly cold and detached, right? So like it just like that's me, like that's how I am and I don't have to try. I don't have to try to be those archetypes. It's just how it is. And so, having that revelation, seeing that play out in the charts, it just allowed me to relax, like relax into who I really am and really embody that, not from a place of like trying to make it fit or being performative, but just like, oh, you know?
Self-acceptance.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because you know, the because all these tools are tools, right? And all of them are different ways to slice through a multidimensional mix of everything. And so, even when I taught my conscious parenting course, I always had parents use many tools like Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram, like look at numerology, look at your zodiac, like just help tools to help understand archetypes, personality types, and the way they express. And one of the things that I've been given in my channeling, because I've inquired about this a lot when I do my personal channeling to get information, because I call myself an interdimensional anthropologist.
Oh, I love that.
So I go into many different dimensions to try to find out and find connections and solve mysteries and figure out new things and bring them here.
Cool.
Um, and so this has been an area for me of like, transcending even our chart. And there
Yes.
is a point that I've been shown, at least I'd love your opinion on this, is where yes, our chart is what it is, and maybe this is more tropical than true sidereal, but there's a point because I can see that limiting people because people are like, oh, that's just who I am, or oh, that's just my next 2 months are gonna suck because I have this planet here and this transit, and there's just nothing I can do, and that's when
Right.
again disconnecting you from your power. And even in my background as a naturopath and I've been a healer for 20 years, is I'm always connecting people to their body's inner knowing because we give our authority away to the medical community, to someone in a white coat, right?
Yes.
And so that's where in my biofield rejuvenation method, it's all about connecting you to your own inner wisdom to rewire your consciousness and your aging blueprint so you can reverse age. Like
Yes.
the powers within us. But anyway, so there's a lot of that going inward that I think the collective is really ready for. And so let's talk about Ophiuchus, the 13th sign that does not get nearly as much attention as it should.
Yes.
And talk about that. And also, I have a little note just to remember what's the difference between Vedic and true sidereal.
Oh, yes.
Because people always,
I almost
yeah,
went
you
into
kind of
that.
touched on it, but we can maybe get to that at the end, but go with whatever one feels right first.
Well, I feel like it makes sense to actually address that now before we talk about Ophuichus, because Ophuichus is one of the differences between true sidereal and Vedic, right?
Mm.
So
I must have
sidereal,
known that.
yeah. Sidereal translates literally to of the stars. Like that's what sidereal means. So
Mhm.
there's a few different types of sidereal astrology. So when I first, like I mentioned, I've worked with three different versions of my human design and my gene keys. The second version was a version of sidereal, the Fagan Bradley. So this was like the when in like the 70s and the 80s when some of the new agers started to realize that there was sidereal astrology, right? And so it's kind of like the westernized version of Vedic astrology,
Okay.
which is sidereal because they're accounting for the shift of the ecliptic. So every 72 years, the line of the ecliptic, which is the path that all the planets follow,
Hmm.
moves backwards 1 degree. So it's called the precession of the equinox. So technically, the age that we're in, and this is maybe opening up another line of conversation about
Yeah,
the age
I
of
know exactly where you're
Aquarius.
going with this one. Hmm.
So that's what the age is based on, right? Like on the vernal equinox, the spring equinox, whatever constellation is rising on the eastern horizon at dawn, that's what age we're in, and it's Pisces for
Yeah, we're
400
not in
years.
the age of Aquarius, people.
Nowhere near it.
Spoiler
That
alert.
Pluto,
And she has lots of videos about that. So it's definitely a very interesting topic for sure.
that's right. Yeah. And the reason why, I mean, this is how I actually even started making content about this, like, was Spirit just urged me when the whole Pluto and Aquarius thing was going on. It was like, you can't stay quiet about this. You need to talk about it because Pluto has nothing to
All
do with
about
it.
transforming everything.
That's right. Yeah. But it's not what the age means, right? And like it's transformation and death and cycles. But the reason why it was attached, or like this whole Age of Aquarius thing got attached to that, is because tropical astrology is not of the stars, right? So it doesn't account for the shift of the ecliptic. It is 23 degrees behind now since tropical astrology was introduced in 200 AD, or so they say, because who knows when we really are in time as far as the calendar is concerned. But
Hmm.
there is a demonstrable 23-degree
Sometime in the
difference.
past
Yeah, right.
or
I
in the
mean,
present, if you're.
linear time is a function of the brain anyways, right? So,
Right.
but so Vedic astrology accounts for that. So it looks at that 23-degree difference as far as like where the sun is, for example, and all the other planets. But it still uses an even zodiac, so it's
Right.
accounting 30 degrees for each of the zodiac signs.
Mhm.
There are now, admittedly, out of the different lens of astrology, I have not studied Vedic deeply enough to really speak on it as far as an authority goes with the other systems that I've studied. So I don't know enough to talk about the specific. They use fixed stars, and there's different like segments to the moon and things like that that they use that kind of differentiate it a little bit more. But the most simple way to explain it is that it's 23 degrees behind, but it's still an even zodiac, and they don't recognize the 13th sign Ophiuchus. It's based off of the 12,
Yeah.
which is a number that is affixes us to the physical world, right? So we've got the 12 zodiac, the 12 months, the 12 hours, like 12 hours in the day, 12 hours in the night,
Mhm.
right? All of those reinforce, and like the even segments of it, that all reinforces the physical, the mechanical world. Ophiuchus is the anomaly, right? So if you look at the zodiac in from like a pattern recognition standpoint, there is a pattern of like the elements, like it's fire, earth,
Yeah.
air, water, right? And it repeats.
Hmm.
And then the modalities repeat. So it's cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed,
Yep.
mutable. And those all have, it's just, if there's anything I miss about tropical astrology, it is that, because it is beautiful the way that it all interacts with each other in that sort of pattern way.
Hmm.
But it's missing the essential component of the pattern interrupt, right? So when you look at quantum physics, the pattern interrupt, oops, hold on a second. Forgot to put my phone on do not computer's ringing. uh so the pattern Can you hear me?
Yeah, and as you're talking pattern interruption,
Isn't that weird?
it just kind of weirdly happened.
Like, I just love this human experience. It's
Right?
so interesting, right? Like the pattern interrupt. So it actually technically is the ninth in the zodiac, right? So if Aries through Scorpio is eight,
Hmm.
which is an octave. So if you look at like fourth way ray of creation, law of octaves, that kind of theory, we follow the pattern twice of the two levels of the elementals. And then Scorpio is the fixed water. Scorpio is about death and rebirth, right? Like, and the Scorpio aspect of it, the fixed water is the surrender, the death, right? The really deep, the esoteric, the deep psychology. And so Ophuichus is the higher octave of Scorpio. It shares the sky. When you look at it on a star charting app, the line of the ecliptic goes right between them. So like Scorpio's down here and Ophiuchus is up here. And Ophiuchus is located directly over the galactic center, which is a black hole. And when again to bring in kind of fourth way laws of creation, like the law of three, right? Like that feminine receiving force, the feminine vacuum
Yeah.
is the force through which everything is born,
Hmm.
right? So when the sun, which is happening right now, passes through this part of the sky, it is a collective identity, death and rebirth, essentially. Ophiuchus, it creates that rebirth energy like the phoenix being reborn.
Hmm.
It doesn't fit the pattern of the rest of the zodiac, so it doesn't have a modality. It's transcendent as far as that's concerned. It's ruled by Chiron, the wounded healer. So it's all about healing. Even the mythology of it, right? Like Asclepius holding the snake, like the resurrection kind of energy, the bringing things back from the
Yeah.
dead imagery.
Yeah. And
And
we're in the
it's
year of the snake
that's it, yeah, right.
and a 9 year
Yeah. And its element is the
ether.
ether.
It's
Yeah,
the ether,
the
right?
fifth element, the
Hmm.
everything, the nothing, the space between.
Hmm.
The way that I conceptualize the ether is literally the Godhead. It's the source in between everything, and that's really
Hmm.
what enlightenment is about, right? Like, the word enlightenment represents the process of creating space in your physical vessel, so that the ether can work its way in between all of your molecules and then you're operating from a place of neutrality, less density. You're still in a body, less dense, so that you're able to perceive
Yeah.
the celestial cycles and what lies beyond the physical. Because as human beings, we're meant to be sitting in the middle, right? Like of the material world, in a body, having the experiences of that. Also, spiritual and intangible creatures, right? And being able to harness both of those in one is what we're supposed to be doing here. So
Hmm.
that's so that's
So,
what Ophiuchus is.
and this is when we're having this conversation and we're recording it. So no matter when you're watching it, we're recording this on December 10th,
Yes.
2025, and we are smack in the middle. So the Ophiuchus, sun is in Ophiuchus for about 3 weeks.
Yeah, so there is a little bit
It
of
varies.
debate as far as like the specifics of this. And again, I feel like this whole topic really like how I teach it is like, what do you feel? You know what I mean? Like you don't need the International Astronomical Union or, so that's
To
one
tell
set
you.
of dates,
Hmm.
or Mastering the Zodiac, which is run by Athan Chimenti, and he's a medical astrologer, so he's a bit more material based, like he's less woo as far as his like interpretation of some of the astrology goes, right? But so in the Mastering the Zodiac dates, which is the software that I use, Ophiuchus is technically from December 6th through December 19th. But some like the Astronomical Union, the International Astronomical Union, I think it's like the end of November, because they put Scorpio as smaller. So in Mastering the Zodiac, he has them about the same amount of degrees, but in the International Astronomical Association or Union, they have Scorpio being smaller, and that Ophiuchus is starting at the end of November.
So again, another reason why we're meant to go inward and to really just feel how we're feeling and go with that really above all else. So I'm looking at some of the questions I had written down before, and we've kind of covered a lot of them. So in terms of like if you're talking to someone who, because I have a lot of clients who are just very knowledgeable and familiar with tropical and they live and die by it. It's a daily thing they check and all this. What would be the one thing you would love to say to them to help them or and again, everyone's at their own journey, so it's not like you're necessarily helping them, but what would be your 30-second like, hey, this, I was there too, and this is what I discovered, and here's how it's helped me to really open up to other options.
Yeah, so that's a great question because again, like we're not here to convince anybody or to tell anybody, but at the same time, we do have these messages that are we're being called to share, right? So I take a more covert approach or like it's less about telling people and more about being what
Hmm.
it is that we want to share with them,
The
right?
feminine, the feminine.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Hmm.
So I don't have to do anything externally, but just me sharing the truth of the sky, doing the energy reports, sharing the energies that I'm reading through the charts and how they're so resonant, right? People who are open to it are going to pick it up and explore it, right? So I guess as far as like what I would say is like just be open to like look into it yourself. Like don't take my word for it. Play
Hmm.
around with look at your chart and see how it resonates for you, right? Pay
Hmm.
attention to my astrology reports for a couple weeks and see if it lines up with your experience,
Yeah.
right? And there's a lot of people on TikTok. I'm most active on TikTok. That's where I have the biggest audience and I'm the most engaged on there. And like fairly
I'm
often,
not at all. I'm
yeah.
an observer and a reposter. I don't do any more stuff on there. Yeah.
Well, see, funny story about TikTok. So, like, this is connected to the origin story of how I came to the revelation with this guy. So, I had a bigger audience on Instagram and Facebook, right? That's where I did most of my business before the first version. And when I went through that like existential crisis, like the 6 months where I was like, none of this is worth anything. I disappeared off social media. Like I was like, I can't talk about anything. I don't want to do anything online.
Mhm.
And then when I wanted to come back, I had so much resistance to, I didn't know how to talk about it. I knew it was going to trigger people. I wasn't quite confident enough in like how to put it out there. So I just created a TikTok account. I
I
turned
might go
off,
a whole new school.
that's basically
I'm
it.
gonna move to
Yeah.
a new town and I'm gonna show up and be who I'm gonna be.
That's
Hmm.
it. Yeah. I turned off all the settings so that I couldn't, people that knew me, like my contacts, couldn't find the account. I didn't follow anybody. I still don't follow anybody on my TikTok account. It's a hollow bone for me. It's an output, right?
Yeah.
So I made a couple videos and like the third video I made went viral. So it, and I just enjoy, I don't know, I find the engagement it's a different world on TikTok. I really enjoy the vibe there, but the point of mentioning it is that like with the virality I have mini viral moments like every week or so something will catch the algorithm and when that happens there's people who come on and they're like well both are valuable like because I my whole thing is like tropical astrology is psyop, right? Like it's reinforcing the matrix and these are things that I say as hooks to catch the algorithm, to be kind of antagonistic, and also because I have an Aries, Mars, and Mercury and a Gemini rising, and I kind of get a kick out of being the trickster.
Hmm.
Like I like it. So I
Yeah.
do that to catch the algorithm. And so people will defend tropical astrology a lot in the comment section, right? Like it's valuable, you can still use it. Like this is how I find utility. And my response to that is like, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're finding value out of it, who's to
Yeah,
say it's not right for you right now? I mean, absolutely.
we can agree to disagree, like your opinion, you having a different opinion is not a threat to me. It doesn't affect my experience at all. I don't care if you don't believe me. I don't care if it doesn't resonate for you, and not from a place of like I don't care about you as a person, but like I care about my experience more than I care about anything else.
I know.
Right?
I
So,
know for me though, I've never been so, I don't know. I've never gone on to someone else's thing and like disagreed with them. Like, why? I
I,
just move on. Okay, I just move on and I go do my thing. I don't know.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You don't, because that your life is an algorithm, like whatever you pay attention to and feed. And I
I
always say,
love that. That's so true.
right? So
Your life
if
is an
you're spending your
algorithm.
time paying attention to things that you disagree with, or you think somebody's opinion is gonna affect you in a negative way, then it's going to. So like, I just get a kick out of it. I share this in like circles, or when I'm talking to clients or in my Discord server. I'm like, if you guys see me in the comments arguing with somebody, just know that I'm doing it for the algorithm. One, because the comments help the videos, and two, I'm like,
It's to correct misinformation sometimes. Like at
that's
least like
right.
blatant, yeah. Like I'm very protective of my audience too. Like when there's some comments where I think it's actually going to do some potential harm to those that are reading it, I'm going to address it because
Wow.
it's my channel and whatever I have here, I want to make sure is what I know to be the truth of what I know. I've been known to change
Yeah.
my mind on certain things, but I can't like let my channel be a perpetuator of things that are not in alignment with me.
Totally. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And like, my whole thing is honestly like you can you can disagree with me all you want. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter. If you want to get all bent out of shape about that, then that's fine. And like those people are not interested in the message anyways. But for the people who are really invested in tropical astrology, or to go back, circle back to the original question, right? Like the people watching this or listening to this who have a business based on tropical astrology, or they've been doing it for so long and they do find that resonance. Like my recommendation, like the best way to use tropical astrology is as like a comparative. So like use it in tandem with the
Mhm.
sidereal, right? So you can
Yeah.
compare. I've done some really powerful readings for people, really powerful client work, looking at the patterns of the tropical astrology. I think we were talking about this before we started recording, so forgive
Hmm.
me if this is repetitious, but it represents like your matrix programming, or your karmic predispositions, or like habits and ways of being that you were given or had to develop in order to survive the patterns of the
Crazy
karmic
world.
world,
Hmm.
right? So you can understand yourself in that way with tropical astrology.
Yeah.
And then the sidereal, true sidereal, is specifically with the inclusion of Ophuichus, is what I would use for current transits, like moon circles, like the astrological weather, essentially.
So that's one of my big questions for you because I have tried, before I do all my videos, I'm literally going to try to find out what are the current true sidereal transits that I need to know. Like, where's the sun? Where's the moon? Where's Mars? Where's Venus? And I find I don't know how to find that information. So I'm sure other people are going to be wondering.
I have a
You?
solution for you.
Okay, perfect. I know to obviously watch your videos on TikTok because I know you do those, which are very helpful. But like sometimes it's not right when I'm recording my video, and I'm like, crap, I don't know what it is today.
Totally, yeah. So there's a few different options, right? Like mastering the Zodiac recently, frick, I have a hard time with linear time. I'm like, I feel like it's been a couple of months now at this point, like maybe 2 or 3 months ago. They came out with some web-based software. So they have the True Sky, True Sidereal software that you
Yeah,
can
I signed up for it.
access.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that if you know how to read a chart or like the basics of it, okay. Well, that's option one.
Okay.
Look at
I've looked at it and then I go,
what does that
now
mean?
what? What do I do with this?
So so I have been inspired recently to I mean like my goal is to help people who are like where I was like 5 years ago, like in me 5 years ago, single mom, like neurodivergent, existing in late stage capitalism. Like I didn't have resources for anything. Like I could barely pay my bills, right? And so the idea of like paying for a mastermind, or like, having a coach, or even like hiring somebody to do a reading, like none of that was on the table for me, right? So I've been really drawn to creating low ticket, like very low investment options that will help people. So I have started a community. My Bright Light Collective is on Discord. And I just started a tier. It's $8 Canadian a month, and I'm doing daily energy reports. So in
Oh,
that,
that's awesome.
yeah, so I'm
I
basically
must have
taking,
known.
yeah, it's new. Like I was inspired to do this for Ophuichus season. Like there was some
I
other
love
stuff
that.
that was going on in the background, that like some tower moments and things crumbling that came to be, like the timing of it.
Oh, we
But I
have
was
to
like,
talk about that offline, by the way. I know what you're talking
yes,
about.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll give you the tea on that,
Yeah.
not publicly, but
Next
um,
time, yeah. But
yeah.
oh, because I knew
I
you
mean,
started it, but I didn't know that included the daily transit. So that's really helpful.
that's yeah, and then
Yay.
the plan. So I just had a conversation yesterday actually with another friend of mine who is a good size influencer on TikTok to build an app, because there's no apps for this lens of astrology. There's like a
Love it.
bajillion apps for tropical
Yeah.
astrology, but there's none for true sidereal. So the fact that the True Sky web-based software exists now is a huge aid for us. And like we're gonna DIY it. We're gonna use AI to help us build this app to
Love
be
it.
able to provide daily forecasts for the collective, and then also putting your information into it, and then it'll give you
Your
transits as far
personal.
as like how,
Where
because
you are.
astrology is like bingo basically, right? Like you've got the what's happening right now, and it's like as the planets pass through the stars and interact with each other, they overlap or they pass over where they were on your natal chart, or they interact. There's different aspects, right? So uh it's a lot when you think about it. There's a lot of patterns, right, of it.
Mhm.
So that's the goal. So I'm starting with uh the in the True Sky Baddies is the name of the low ticket tier on my Discord server. So every day I'm doing it in a written format, and then I'm going to take that information and feed it into the AI to then create it as an
Love it.
automation.
Love it. So yeah, I'm going to put all that information in the description box below of how to get in touch with Lumi and join her Discord server and follow her and all that stuff because she's a wealth of information. So for sure. I love that you're doing that because it's literally been like I've even thrown it into, like Grok or Chat GPT to be like, what are and it's like I can already tell, no, that's not accurate. And so I
Yeah.
don't trust the information because I've put myself into those AI things and they tell me all sorts of stuff that's completely not true about me. So I don't trust
Yes.
anything that comes out. So that's why I
No.
was just like, yeah, I'm not going to rely on this. So
Yeah.
go
Well,
now we have a place to go.
it's another example of that external authority, and like I use AI to help me organize my work, but it's not like I can't you can't rely on it. It makes mistakes. It makes
A
big mistakes.
lot of mistakes.
Yeah, like
I'm doing a little study right now using it
it
and it makes a lot of
and
mistakes.
it like makes mistakes confidently, like it's
I know where it
I'm
tells
like,
me
"Are
and
you sure?" And it's
I've
like, "Yeah,
literally
I'm
said to
sure."
it, I said, "Did you not even like listen, you answered a question I didn't even ask and ignored the question I did ask. Like, are you even here? Oh, I'm so
I
sorry. You're right. You checked me.
that I
You're
talk
really
about
on top of it, Erica."
Sometimes I'm like, what the heck, chat? Like, this is not what I was asking for.
No, totally not.
And this
Totally
is where
not.
the human edge, like we still need humans to fact check, right? So
Absolutely.
you can get the answers. Like if I am feeding, like I basically what I'm doing to create the written reports is like looking at the transits, giving my like point form, intuitive kind of notes on how the archetypes are working together. And then ChatGPT is like, okay, here it is in a nice written format, right?
Yeah.
But there's that
Yeah.
intermediary piece that's necessary. Because if I
Like
just
the
told
human
Chat,
consciousness.
that's
Oh
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing a little trial with some tarot stuff because I'm like let me see how good chat is at interpreting, and half the time I'm like, well, this is what I was getting from channel as I was reading my own cards first, or
Yeah.
like the cards of this because I'm kind of testing it, and there's some really interesting capabilities with it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you missed this, and this, and it's like, well, duh, because that's the value that our consciousness brings that it cannot. I mean, no way.
It
Anyway,
can't be
that's a whole
mimicked.
other topic in and of itself, but
For sure.
so I've so enjoyed this conversation, and I hope everyone else has gotten a lot of value out of it. I know I have because obviously I've watched your videos, but I'm loving to hear your perspective and your background and how you've come to this and the value you're bringing to all of us that are doing important work here. So thank you for that. And Before we head out, is there anything that you would love to say as like a wrap-up message that you want to leave people with, and then tell people how to get a hold of you? And I'll put it in the description box anyway, but
Amazing. Well, thank you. I want to thank you first, Erica. It's such an honor and a pleasure to engage in this sort of conversation and to be able to bring this sort of information to the collective. And really, as far as like a closing statement, I honestly just want to empower anybody who's still listening to this to think for themselves and to take their power back. Whew, I get like a wave of energy when I say that.
that's it. Me
Take your
too.
power back from everything. Nobody
Including,
is your guru,
correct.
not me, not Erica, not the stars. You decide who you are, and everything is a tool. And if you want to use a tool that is going to help you navigate the authentic alchemical energies, get on the page with True Sidereal.
Yes, I am 100% on board with that and agree completely with that. And that's, it's the foundation of what I've done. I'm always saying, I don't want my clients to keep coming to me. Because I empower them to that they don't need to come to me anymore. It's like I
Yeah,
help guide them to listen to themselves and trust themselves to then it's like bye bye Erica. And it's a
that's right.
graduation day, thank goodness. You know.
That's right. Yeah, that's New Earth leadership, Erica. Like that's the new paradigm of what we're here to do. We're not here to create codependence or reinforce that, right? That's reinforcing the simulation and the matrix and disempowering our clients in the long run, right? So the New Earth leaders are here to empower people to think for themselves and be able to DIY their own enlightenment, which is what my Discord server is all about. It's meant to be a New Earth model. You can join it for free also, by the way, if you're listening to this and you don't even have 8 Canadian dollars a month to contribute to the energy exchange. There is a free tier that you can get benefit from
Awesome.
because I want it to be accessible for everybody. And the idea is to provide information in the free tier that will help you to be able to accumulate the resources that you need to be able to participate in the energy exchange if that's what you feel called to.
Well, I love it and appreciate you so much for your time and your heart today and your
Yeah.
light, most
It's gonna do a
importantly.
heart. Look at
Yes. Oh, it's going to do the heart. Is that what it does?
yeah. If you hold it long enough on Zoom, I don't know if you have
It's
it,
not doing it.
it'll make a little timer at the bottom. There it goes.
Oh, good thing. What happens if you give someone the middle finger? I don't even want to
I
know.
don't know if that one's programmed in. Yeah.
Maybe it's not coded into Zoom. It might not be appropriate. I don't
I
know.
feel probably
All
not.
right. Well, thank you again, Lumi, and I look forward to learning more from you and continuing to help everyone on the planet figure everything out and become their own personal compass.
I love that. Thank you so much, Erica. I
Okay.
appreciate you, and this has been a huge pleasure.
Okay. Take care. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.